Hello, everybody, and welcome to Podfluxxx episode number 41. Tonight, we've got a loaded bunch of stuff I want to talk about, Rick. On top of our Royal Rumble coverage. So, I'm going to start with my actual one off WWE. It's actually, you know what? It's not even an off WWE topic. Uh, our entire show tonight is WWE based. It was a big week for WWE in more than one way. So I'm going to start with one thing and then we'll work our way to the Rumble. So, boy, this is going to seem derivative, but are you ready?
I think everyone's ready.
I want to start with Okada.
All right.
We talked a lot about Okada last week. And then on the internet this week, there were many people who were saying that they've got the inside scoop on Okada going to WWE, but starting with NXT. I guess one or two people said that, and it snowballed into this whole thing of internet wrestling nerds uh, losing their absolute goddamn minds because Okada might go to NXT. So I wanted us to start with that. I know how I feel about it. I wanted to see how you feel about it. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, the thing is now with him going to this NXT, it's probably not what's best for him. He's just gonna waste away. If it were the old black and gold NXT where all the top, independent names went, then we could have, multiple dream matches of some kind. But I don't know. I read that too, and obviously him going there would be a step backwards, I'm sure. But he needs to go and understand the system and everything else. So, I don't. When they say he's going to NXT, I feel like what they mean is he's going to go to the performance center, get used to the ring, work out. Who knows if he'll do an NXT show just to pop a number or something. I don't know. But I don't see, I mean, I think we both know it's stupid for him to have to go there for anything else except get ring rust off.
Yeah. There's no developing
Correct.
that Okada needs.
I mean, going there to get like match guidance from like a Shawn Michaels, obviously,
Right.
and kind of running through those scenarios in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking like stuff he could do like in a few week to a month period, uh, ring work wise. I mean, like I said before, like when Nakamura went to NXT when it was the black and gold brand, we had multiple matches that the world was ready to see. Uh, in NXT now, besides Braun Breaker, who else is there for anybody to want to see, right? I mean,
Right. If you look at Wrestle Kingdom, which is New Japan's biggest show,
right,
correct?
yeah,
But if you look at the actual production of that show compared to anything that WWE does, it's very nuts and bolts.
yeah,
Basic as butter, lighting truss, video board, ramp,
mm,
right?
yeah,
I've never really seen an episode of, New Japan TV. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
don't know what that looks like.
mm-hmm,
Um, as far as what it looks like in Japan.
right,
You know what I mean? I think that he's going to have to learn how to do WWE television,
right. That's yeah,
where the cameras are, the way they do things, how they come in and out of commercial break, shit like that.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the main reason for him to probably have to go to NXT. But on that same note, NXT is going to be moving to an over the air or an over antenna television network
True.
in the
Yeah.
CW.
Right.
So NXT is going to be in the most homes that it's ever been in once it gets to CW. CW services about 100 million homes as far as TV is concerned. And I think for a guy who, let's be honest, on the WWE fan base here, what do you think the percentage of WWE fans are that know what's going on in New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like little to none, to be honest, to answer the question. But you know, they're not gonna just. I don't know. I don't see them as just starting him out on the main roster with no, experience with what they do.
Or
Um,
introduction to their fan base?
yeah, and no kind of hype video and all that stuff. And if honestly, if they're going in, like you said, to all those homes and it's going to have their own TV show, if it's going to be live every week, I mean, it might as well just be like a third major brand. And if that is the case, uh, I would imagine they're going to stack up that roster starting now. And maybe with him being like maybe some sort of pillar of some kind in
Mm-hmm.
with multiple other name wrestlers, right? I mean, they might be drafting guys into it. I mean, they're kind of spilling a little bit in there because I think isn't Corbin there? And from time, I mean, I know from time to time they'll have guys pop in and out, but they're gonna need to fill up. I don't know, even if it's a 2-hour show, you're gonna have to have 4 or 5 named wrestlers there, kind of consistent, I guess, just to get
Right.
stories going.
It's when the black and gold brand of old
Yeah.
was when it was the black and gold brand of old,
Right.
Nakamura didn't need to be there,
No.
right? Finn
Right.
Balor didn't need to be there.
Right.
Samoa Joe certainly didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
But the brand needed a face. The
Yeah.
brand needed guidance to develop the other guys who were there to be developed.
Right.
And I think with the opportunity here to have Okada, the opportunity of moving back or moving to a network with more homes, there's an opportunity to try and return NXT to a more of a bigger third brand like it used to be. And I think CW and Okada can really be the vehicle to do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's gonna have to be. What it is now, you can't put that on that network with that many people seeing it the way it looks now. So
Right.
it's definitely, yeah. I mean, especially with Triple H more in charge. I think we got to see what he did with it. I think he's going to do that and then bigger this time around due to needing that third brand because of where they're at as far as like television rights go. I'm sure CW is not like, yeah, that colorful television show with 200 people, that looks great, we'll take that. Like, I'm
Right.
sure they're not looking at it like that. I'm sure they're comparing everything to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, where you're watching Roman Reigns walk out with pyro spinning off in a full stadium, and they're like, yeah, we want that show, we'll pay
Yeah.
gladly for that one.
Yeah. We want the one where it takes the oiled up Samoan 11 minutes to get to the ring.
Right, exactly.
45 feet. Yeah. But speaking of ad rights and TV deals, uh, the WWE I'm looking for a joke or a pun or just anything creative and witty to put here, but you just it's almost not real, right?
Yes.
Like anytime you think, well, how much more money is this place
Right.
really going to be able to make or bilk somebody else out of for a TV show that, like, let's be real, only really 1.5 million people are watching, where
Yeah.
in the real last boom period of pro wrestling, there was 4.5, 5 million people watching this show,
Easily. Yeah.
and it didn't make a percentage of the money that it makes now. But Netflix uh handed the WWE $5 billion. That was a For those out there in YouTube podcast lands, yes, that was billion with a B, with a giant fucking capital B, for a 10-year agreement.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you know this, but 5 billion divided by 10 is $500 million a year
A year.
for TV, for wrestling TV, with not as big of a following as their other show, but a
No.
way bigger following than their competition,
Yeah.
who Dave Meltzer has evaluated for being worth $2 billion, yet they're yet to make $1, but he values them at $2 billion. Rick, what do you think about this deal? Questions, comments, concerns?
As usual, groundbreaking business done by WWE. It's funny because once they got SmackDown and NXT, I thought, how much bigger? Because I just knew that it was going to be, you know, scratch your head, counting your toes type of math we were going to have to do to
And
figure out how much more money is Monday Night Raw going to get, and it's not even that good. Let's be honest.
and it,
It
it's also it was like, how much more and who's the sucker?
right, yeah, and that's the thing is like, of course they thought, well, if we're going to go to the streaming service, they're only going to go to the biggest and the most notified one out there. But then I thought, well, I had thought about Netflix for a minute, and then I was like, how much money does it take for Netflix to make original content that they can just replay a billion times? It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely not $5 billion a movie, that's for
No,
sure. Or a series doesn't
nope.
cost it doesn't cost 500 million to do, a blockbuster series of some kind. And they're going to get internationally. Did you see they're going to get SmackDown, NXT, Wrestle, all the pay-per-views internationally
Right,
on?
because they're shutting down the network internationally now.
Yeah. So now, not only does Netflix get all this extra added content internationally, but now it's just free advertisement for WWE to go run events around the world, like they've been doing, and sell them out even in bigger stadiums. Uh, you
Um,
know, it just it's I don't know, like it's just mind boggling to me. It just the amount of money that they can just get from Monday Night Raw or Raw, whatever they're calling it now.
what I haven't seen anything on and am curious about, because you just basically mentioned free advertisements,
Yeah.
is this going to be 3 hours of commercial free Monday Night Raw now on Netflix? Or are they going to be smart and build product placement into their TV show the way they kind of do with the Old Spice. Remember they had that the guy with the electric guitar that played Nakamura's music
Yeah.
on one show standing next to the tower of Old Spice
Yeah.
deodorant, or even like on the pay-per-view just last night with the whole ring lit up with the Slim
Yeah.
Jim nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm curious as if they're going to be doing basically how some podcasts do on-air reads
Right.
of their sponsors,
Yeah.
if they're going to be doing that in the show as a replacement for commercials. That way they can still sell ad time on
Right.
a show that technically never goes to commercial.
Right. I mean, everything's changing, so why not, right? Like it definitely is looking like that with the way they're setting everything up. So I was curious if it's going to stay 3 hours though. I know that they got it down to a science to do live TV for 3 hours, but now that it's not on Monday nights, uh, does it even need to be 3 hours?
Wait a minute. So you're telling me that realistically, there's a possibility that they sold the rights of Monday Night Raw to Netflix for $5 billion, and they're gonna get there and be like, we're gonna do our own commercials during the show, and we're gonna take an hour away. Who is? Can you imagine?
Who knows what to think anymore? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what makes it need to be 3 hours anymore if it's just being live? It's part of their live stream package now, I guess, for
Yeah,
Netflix.
but I'm saying Netflix just spent $5 billion. Could you imagine them being like, "Oh, by the way, we're taking an hour away"?
I mean, what do we need 3 hours of Monday Night Raw for exactly?
We don't.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know. Maybe they would do like 2 hours of Raw and then 1 hour of some sort of post wrap up show bullshit or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, they try to make it seem like it's Monday Night Football every night. Every pay per view they do now. So they have like the setup of Booker T and friends eating a bag of chips for no reason that no one really wants to eat, and all they do all that stuff now. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, and is it going to be like? Is it going to be on Monday nights? Is it going to be on a different night? Because all I saw was advertisement for WWE Raw
Right.
on Netflix. Nothing ever said Monday night. So, and what night do you put it on? Do you care that anyone tunes in live for the live stream because they can watch it later? Like, does that count extra? Is that like or are they just going to put it behind another paywall of like, hey, $14.99, you get Monday Night Raw live? And like the network, like some sort of delayed Raw release. If
Ooh, you
not,
think are we gonna get archives? Or
yeah,
I would imagine we wouldn't get, in the United States where we still have Peacock, I'd imagine we wouldn't get archives of Monday Night Raw. But I mean, like, if I watch this week's Monday Night Raw and then I fall asleep, right?
right,
And then next week before Monday Night Raw starts, I want to turn it on and watch what I slept through last week.
right.
Is that shit still going to be there? Or, like, this is going to be a 10-year deal, right? So
They
how
should
much
figure it out in
is
that time.
Netflix going to have to increase their server by to contain 10
Right.
years of 3-hour Monday Night Raws?
They got that much space.
I didn't even know they had this much money. The last time I looked at anything Netflix related, they've been operating in like a $20 million debt for
Right.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this whole thing, like, I've already played with the thought of, is Netflix really still going to even be around in 10 years?
Right.
I don't know, but they're probably still going to have to pay that contract out.
Right.
Which brings me to Nick Khan is not only probably the smartest and savviest and most professional Khan in the wrestling business, he's clearly the smartest and savviest and most professional McMahon in the wrestling business.
Yeah.
For a long time, a lot of people were down on Nick Khan being around in the WWE.
Yeah.
But I think over the last year, with the decisions that he's made and the things that he's done, he and Triple H might be the best thing for WWE in a very, very long time.
Well, it definitely looks that way. And that was always the thing about, WWEs. They always spent big money on the business part of what they did, and then the money that they get from that able them to pay wrestlers big. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, it's funny because, like, you think you figured them out, and then they go do something like this, and you just realize, like, we know very, very little about what they're really thinking back there and what they're capable of. Really, I mean, because this isn't like an idea, like, this is a done deal, which is insane to think.
Yeah. And never again are you going to see on the internet the nerds and everybody going, Raw only did 1.56 million this. That's it.
Right.
We'll never again know how many people viewed Monday Night Raw this week.
Nobody will care because they're still making
And
$500 million a year.
Probably the ultimate. Yes. They officially, WWE has officially landed a TV deal that's not even a TV deal, that's going to be a ton of money over 10 years, and their ratings can't be scrutinized.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Crazy. And another crazy, huge thing that happened this week was Dwayne The Rock Johnson got named to the WWE, or excuse me, the TKO Group's holding board of directors.
Right.
Which I think I'm going to go with my Ben Stiller analogy here. Does that make him Triple H? Can he just walk up to Triple H and be like, "Well, you work for the bank and the bank works for me, vis-a-vis your boss"? Like, is The Rock Triple H's boss now?
I think so, right?
Oh, and Triple H must love that. What do you think about this? I don't know what the terms of the deal were, and how much money he's going to make to do this, or what he actually does once he's on this board of directors. But what do you make about this? Is this a publicity move?
Well,
Is this a keep it in the family kind of a thing?
I read he was, I don't know if it was his only pay or whatever, but I read that he has now 30 million shares of TKO. So I was talking to a friend of mine who started dabbling a little in stocks, and I told him to go buy TKO stock because he was complaining that, he spends very little on it, and he was just playing with it. And then when the night before they announced it, where The Rock did the New York Stock Exchange opening bell, I told him, "Oh, you should buy more because WrestleMania is coming up, this, that, and the other, And then the next day he came in to the gym, and I was laughing about it. I was like, "How much money did you make?" And he was like, "Well, I didn't buy any last night like you told me." He goes, "But do you know what happened?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, the Rock is on the board of directors. I said, and the stock, like skyrocketed. He
Yeah.
said if I would have bought $1 of stock, he goes, I could cash out today at $6,500 off $1. That's how high it shot up. And then he pulls out his phone and shows me the thing, and like it's like a straight up like a
Yeah.
rocket taking off into the air, right?
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, because The Rock is a part of it. You know, he's got stock options, you know, like that. And, you know, it was just insane, right? Like how
The
much money.
Netflix deal.
Yeah, the net. And then that was another one. And I said, well, did you look at Netflix? And he's like, well, they're always down. And I said, well, look again, because Monday Night Raw is going to Netflix and it's worth $5 billion in 10 years. And like his brain was just spinning out of control. And he kept telling me, for fucking wrestling? This is for fucking wrestling, right? He goes, he's just a wrestler. And I'm like, yeah, he's a wrestler. This is just wrestling. Like, yes, like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So I don't know exactly like what all entails as far as like what he's going to do, but let's just face it. It did wonders for their stock. Everyone's probably, you know, super happy. And my question was, does he now start popping up in WWE a little more often? Because now he's going to be getting kickbacks on how well the company really does. So now WWE becomes another top priority for The Rock, right? I mean, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I think these board of directors things though are kind of like it's a gimmick.
No, I know that, but I'm saying like they have the right to vote on certain big
Yes.
things.
Yep.
That's so having a wrestler influence on the board is obviously a must for them,
Mm-hmm.
for WWE, because he'll be able to understand, well, you know, yes, this is how it goes, or give us time, or, you know, he'll have the insight of how the business goes round, right? So
This is the closest the wrestling business has been to a guy finishing up and getting a piece of the territory since like
exactly.
81, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
This is like the equivalent of Nick Bockwinkel getting a piece of AWA.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, but then we've got which was not great for the TKO stock.
Hmm.
We've got a McMess this week.
Oh
A
boy.
big, sloppy, perverted McMess. Um, did you read? This is a for people who aren't up to date on this. One of the women, the first one that we found out about early in the pandemic, the paralegal, Vince decided to not make the payments on her hush money, which voided her NDA, which is why all of this came out and
Oh.
came about. They filed a 67-page lawsuit that accuses Vince McMahon of sexual misconducts, abuse, and trafficking. Um, I've been skimming through these legal documents all day, Ricky. Vince McMahon is the creepiest, weirdest dude that ever existed. And for a long time, like the Mr. McMahon character, everybody was like, hey, it's just a character. It's Vince turned up to 10. It's actually Vince turned down from 19.
All right.
Um, there's accusations of him defecating on this woman's head
Yep.
and making her just like wear it.
Yep.
Um, there's all kinds of things in
Mm-hmm.
this lawsuit which are, vile and disgusting and wrong. And
Yep.
the fact that something like this actually had to happen to a human being
Yeah.
is terrible. But this is Podfluxxx, right? No. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We're not.
Here we go.
I'm not even playing devil's advocate on this one. But I kind of also, though, like I do on the same hand, or on the other hand, rather, feel like a lot of this stuff should have had the police involved a very long time ago, which makes it hard to believe that somebody would allow any of this to actually happen to themselves. Uh, what do you know about any of this or any of the specifics, or what are your thoughts on it? Could it come at a worse week for WWE?
Well, get it out of the way now before WrestleMania, if anything. So if it had to come out, I'm glad it didn't come out like WrestleMania week or something. So I guess. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I read a lot of the stuff. I had a couple friends from the gym send me screenshots of the texts. So that was a
Hold on,
fun.
hold on. I refuse to believe that Vince McMahon types like that.
Yeah,
Like the
there was.
capital UR for
Yeah,
your,
yeah,
like the
yeah,
guy who the pronouns pal guy, and
yeah.
you're telling me is like, oh boy, you're my baby with
Yeah,
random capitals, and I don't.
right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I mean, that was the other thing was I was like, well, is this real? Um, I mean, we're trying to base facts around just screenshots of, this, but um I mean, as far as the company goes, like he when did he step down? Was 2 days ago or something.
Yeah,
Um so they knew that it was happening. Um I don't know what to think because this whole thing since it started has been just kind of wild and crazy to hear about. Not, and I'm not surprised. I mean,
no,
I
I'm
mean, I don't
surprised it
think
took this long to come
yeah,
out.
that's the thing that I guess that troubles me. Not really troubles, but like I scratch my head and think like, well, this happened when, and it's like, okay, and I guess it's the same thing that happened when was it 2020 when all those newscast
Yep,
although all that stuff came out and they're like, well, back in the 80s he touched me inappropriately, and you're like, all right, that was 20 years ago, so it bothered you today.
right.
And then the same thing with Flair that they were talking about, and it was just, I mean, I don't know, it's like, and I'm not surprised, like I don't any of us that have been in the wrestling business, uh I don't think are surprised over all this stuff.
Even the fans, anybody who's been in the bubble.
Right. Any fans that have read anything about how we act or what we do or whatever they want to highlight. Um, I mean, it sucks, yeah, but come on, man. Like this was years and years ago, and then you didn't get one payment, and now you're gonna do now. Now it's all coming. I get it, but I don't know. I don't read too much into it. It's not really that big a deal to me. Um, so I don't know if that's just how messed up I am in the head, where I'm just like when my friend sent it, I just laughed and I said, "Yeah, like, yeah, that's Vince McMahon." Like, like I don't know, like that stuff happens. Like,
Yeah,
I guess we hear stories of things happening on tours and stuff, and when they're here and there, when there's no one around, like what they really do. I mean, you know, um, the videos that we've seen of certain people and this, that, and the other, and you're kind of like, you're like, well, where do you think they all get it from? It starts at the top and it trickles down. So, I mean, it's sadly, it's one of those things where you're like, if you're in it, you're just kind of like, yeah, that sounds about right, or I could see that.
yep.
But yeah, I don't know. They'll get past it. It'll take a few weeks, and then someone will do something or say something stupid, and we'll be off to that. So,
Right. What do you think of the internet wrestling community's position on this? That if you've ever made one red cent from the WWE, not only did you know about this kind of stuff, but you were a part of it.
what do you mean?
They're all like, oh, there's no way this guy didn't know, and that guy didn't know, and this one should be ashamed of himself. And they're heavily criticizing Triple H's response to a question about it
Yeah,
from the press conference last night,
yeah,
which is weird because it seems that the internet wrestling community's approved response for a question like that would be like, I'm not legally able to speak about this at this time, but if you watch AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night on the TBS network, we're going to have a great show for you because we're on the greatest run of our time. Everything is great.
right,
Is apparently the only answer that they'll accept
right.
to sexual misconduct allegations.
I mean, it is tough because on one part you want to say like that doesn't have anything to do with what they did last night, and if this was a real press, you know, like I tried watching the press thing, and some of those guys that ask the questions, you're just like, I can't, like I can't see a bunch of marks trying to talk inside lingo with the top stars in the
With Triple
industry.
H, yeah.
Yeah, and act as if he's going to say, well, Tony from, fistfightingwrestling.com, let me tell you all the goings ons in Stanford, Connecticut. What did you think he was going to say, you
Right.
idiots? They're going to brag about almost having 50,000 people, another record gate. They're going to talk about what's needed to talk about. Now everyone's pointing at the sign and we're off to the races. Like,
Yep.
I think those pressers and media scrums are all stupid. I remember Danny Cage at the Monster Factory. He tried doing something similar to that one time or a couple times. What he did was we had a show, and then there was VIP fans or whatever that they get to come to the back and get autographs. And then he started doing this thing where a handful of wrestlers with him would go into the ring and answer any questions that the fans had, that these VIP fans had. So I was okay with doing the fans in the back because he would have heels and faces in separate locker rooms. So I didn't necessarily mind that as much, right? Because there were a lot of kids. So you can see their excitement, and then there were smart fans, that oh, I saw you, here and there. So it was okay, I wasn't a big fan of it, but I thought, well, this is a nice thing to do, I think, Then he started doing something where, he would argue with some of us about, well, I mean, the fans all know. And I'm thinking, well, you're kind of shitting where you're eating because this is your audience. Letting them come in to separate locker rooms to see the guys and girls is one thing. But now he wanted to go out there and basically like stroke his own ego and talk about how great of a show he wrote, and then what he thinks this angle should be and that, and then the guys and girls would go out there and, so he asked me a few times like, oh, do you want to go do this? And I never did. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, remember when Conflux didn't come out for a 10-bell salute? I remember.
Remember when we killed the guy?
Yeah. And then, yeah. I mean, so there's just some things you don't need to do, but he was doing it for himself. And that's how I feel like this is turned into. I like that WWE doesn't do, a 3-hour long one with everybody and their mother gets to go out there. It's like, okay, we're going to have, this person, and this person. That's it, and it's over in less than an hour. So it's a little more he's given them just enough, I think, it's stupid to have to explain yourself to anything or anybody, about stuff like this. I mean, it's out there, I get it, but I mean, it's just stupid, I think.
I mean, I think the whole having to have a press conference after a wrestling show is ridiculous to begin with. Just like you said, keep in mind that if Tony Khan weren't doing these to stroke his own ego,
Yeah,
CM Punk might still be drawing money for his company.
true.
I was shocked that with what happened this week with Vince, that Triple H did one at all.
Yeah,
Because it seems like the easiest way around any of that, those questions,
yeah,
is to not have them asked at you
right.
in front of a camera. So, I mean, that's where I am on these press scrums. But I can't. It's just to take a position on who knew and who didn't know and who is a part of it,
Yeah,
like the unnamed WWE superstar in the Vince McMahon lawsuit. Everybody just immediately assumes is Brock Lesnar
right.
because it's somebody that he was trying to entice into signing a deal or whatever. Like, how can you just blindly go, well, it had to be Brock Lesnar, and then
Yeah,
smash a guy's reputation on the internet
right.
without knowing for truth who it was or who was all involved or what the circumstances were?
Yeah, it's ridiculous because a lot of people lost jobs um because of internet, BS and uh, this, especially in 2020 when all that shit came out on everybody, I mean, like people's lives were like drastically changed because of that,
Right.
um and no one, and all these little wrestling nerds that are like, yeah, she was a great wrestler. It's like, no, she wasn't. This happens all the time. I'm not saying, that this is okay, but it's not what everybody thinks because it was a bunch of he said, she said stuff,
Right.
I mean, it really, I mean,
And it
and
was
it,
there was also many cases of complications in toxic relationships.
right. And that's what I mean. Like, it's a lot of people's personal business that everyday people probably have to stomach and go through and stuff like that. And, these guys just threw it all out there and people's lives were changed because of it, how they make a living and a lot of stuff, I mean, a lot of guys, and girls, like, that it just wasn't good. It's just not a good thing to have put out there and have these fans act as if they're gonna dictate what happens to your future based off he said, she said. And my biggest, gripe was from all the stuff in 2020, like where it all kind of started, I guess. I thought if this were that serious, you would have called the cops and this would have been taken care of, because if you told family and friends and they all kept it a secret until now, then they're not your friends or good family members to have around you. Because let me tell you, if I had a daughter and something like this happened at some wrestling show,
Mm-hmm.
first off, after I went to jail for beating the shit out of somebody, then I would have made sure that it would have been taken care of with the right, you know, steps and everything else. But they didn't, right? They quote unquote dealt with it and was scared to come out and this and that. And now someone said something and I finally have the courage to tell my story.
Right.
Like, no, you jumped on the bandwagon. This was what was trending. This is
Mm-hmm.
what you did. I can make up a story too that some girl touched my wiener in the back of a show one time and I didn't like it and I felt some kind of way. Now I'm sad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on, man. Like it's just it all got out of hand and now it's, you know, now it's the trend, right? When we hear something bad, we all jump on it, or they all jump on it. They all make a big deal about it. It's fucking stupid.
Or like somebody after the fact decides that, They're unhappy with the fact that they were consensual.
Right.
So they decide to take that consent away,
Yeah.
which is preposterous. Do you know who David Bixenspan is?
No.
Okay. He's like some internet wrestling community like contributor. He contributes to different pages and different podcasts, right? But the guy is the ultimate shit disturber. Like not in a fun way either. Like he you could show him a rainbow and he's just going to find the negative things about it.
Yeah.
And that's all he's going to want to talk about instead of how beautiful the actual rainbow is.
Yeah.
So whenever something like this happens, um, he likes to play the white knight, sticking up for all the females
Oh, yeah.
in hopes that maybe one of them at some point touches him,
Yes.
which is probably yet to happen and never will.
Right.
So right now he's after all this stuff comes out, he's like, this is why there hasn't been a female coach full time in their performance center for 2 years, and all he wants to talk about is why Allison Danger left and why Sarah Amato isn't full time and why there's no full time women's coach in the PC. So he thinks the whole company's in on it. But the thing is like some of these dipshits have a following.
Yeah. Right.
Where this is what people are going to read.
Yeah.
And what people are going to believe.
Right.
And again, we're not saying Vince McMahon good,
Right.
20 multiple women bad.
Right.
Like, just let's be clear here. Vince McMahon bad. Very, very bad. The person who likes to dump on somebody else's head literally just isn't a good person. But a lot of this stuff gets blown out of proportion.
That's the problem. Yeah.
And, you never, just like anything else, you never really know who's telling the truth and who's not.
Yep.
But are you ready at this point to transition into the Rumble?
Yeah.
All right. Last night, Tropicana Field, they're reporting like 48,000 something or other. Yeah. I don't know if it's true, if it's not true, but this show, Ricky, I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
What I do not like, it's easier to get away with on a Saturday than a Sunday. I do not like shows that start at 8 p.m. Eastern and run till about 12 Eastern. I do not like 4-hour shows that realistically only have 4 matches on them.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
So I'm going to start this with, we had the Women's Rumble.
Yeah.
Hooray for women's wrestling and the Women's Royal Rumble. I don't think we need one. We realistically don't need one. If we do need one, it doesn't need to be 30 women. If it does need to be 30 women, to be fair to everyone, it doesn't need to be a minute in between entrances. Because this thing was long, it got sloppy, and the exciting parts in it were few and far between. But obviously Bayley won after surviving something like an hour or whatever, right?
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff though in this Rumble. I mean, the first entrant was Natalya. The second was Naomi. That's a big return from TNA Wrestling. You thought that might have been the case after she dropped the title to Jordynne Grace at TNA's Hard to Kill. And then the fifth entrant in this thing was Jordynne Grace.
Right.
and she was mentioned as the TNA Knockout World Champion. They played her music. Big TNA chant in the building. TNA is alive and well. Apparently doing little things here with WWE. What'd you think about this?
I thought it was great. I mean, I really did. I thought when they did it with Mickey James, I thought it was cool. I definitely like that. Would be kind of cool to have one or two people from other places, I think, because I think it's healthy for the business as a whole. If you had like a really strong face and a really strong heel from a different company, I think it helps, that in a big way. No, I thought it was cool. I like that Jordan Grace didn't look out of place in there. That's what I always try to look at when outsiders come into WWE or when new wrestlers first get signed. Like, do they look like they even belong there? As a wrestler myself, I always tried to, look like I belonged in there or wherever I was. It was always on my mind. But yeah, I thought it was great. It doesn't hurt anybody. TNA's doing everything right that they could possibly do. They're doing that right now, which is awesome for them. I wish they had the financial backing that AEW does because they're just having good matches. They're telling simple stories. It's very pro wrestling like, obviously being led by D'Amore. That's what you're going to get. And that's what I like. I mean, I'm biased to that style, so it was good for everybody. I thought the women's Rumble was better than the men's, not necessarily move for move or anything like that, but I thought it flowed a lot smoother than the men's.
I think we'll get into that when we get to the men's.
Yeah.
Jordan Grace, she lasted 20 minutes.
That's good.
19 minutes, 10 seconds. But like you were saying with when looking like she belongs, I remember watching after she came down, Indy Hartwell came down. And I was like, oh, that'll be if they got face to face for a second, that'd be a cool little matchup. And then Asuka came down, and then Ivy Nile made her entrance. And I was like, ooh, I hope we get to a point here, because that chick is built up, similarly to Jordan Grace.
Right.
And I was like, I hope we get a nice little face off here with her and Jordan Grace. And like you said, she totally looked like she fit in, like she should be there.
Right.
And I was really happy and really surprised with that. And what did you think about? Did you catch any of the Piper Niven, Chelsea Green, Nia Jax stuff during the course of this Rumble?
Lost you there for a minute. What do I think about what?
Did you catch any of the Piper Niven, Chelsea Green, Nia Jax things in this Rumble?
Yeah, I did. I know that you were like a Chelsea Green,
I lost you. What'd you say?
Hold on.
There you are.
Okay. No, I liked it. I thought it was good. It was I really like the Chelsea Green character. I haven't seen a lot of, but from what I did see, yeah, I thought, man, this is perfect for the Rumble, and it was great because all she did was keep getting squashed.
Yeah, she
she was just constantly
stuck between two huge bitches.
She just kept getting stuck everywhere. I was hilarious. I like Piper Niven's new look. Much better look than what she was doing before. So I thought that was cool. I like that she fell into our arms and then she joked about throwing her, and then put her. I just thought it was great. It definitely looks like it's catching. Yeah. It's it's the whole Gable Otis type of friendship thing, but they're doing it like when it's just them two. I don't know if they have more people involved, but just them two, it's actually getting over to me. I know
That's
that the
taking
gate,
shit and getting over.
yeah, the Gable stuff is not over with me, but that just what little I saw there was awesome. Yeah, no, I loved it.
I was not thrilled with the usage of damage control in this Rumble.
Okay,
How both of the, because you had a story here where you've got Bailey, Asuka, and Kairi Sane, and
right,
obviously the world champion is Io Sky.
right,
So, like, you think that they could have played into the story more of trying to uh, be like a united front to
right.
take down whoever is going to challenge Io Sky, like the chance to really soften somebody up, and then the elimination on Asuka and Kairi Sane was like run right after the other there, and it felt flat and
Yep,
not important, especially right after they won the women's tag titles.
yeah,
But then the 28th entrant, which we totally drew a blank on when we were predicting surprises and superstars, returns, debuts, comebacks, whatever. Jade Cargill. What'd you think of the Jade Cargill showing here in the Rumble?
I'm sure it was heavily produced by Tyson Kidd. I would imagine. Again, um, they put her all in all the right spots, the right timing on the face off, that she had, I thought was great. WWE just has so much more better experience with a person like that with potential, right? I mean, uh, basically, like, Hulk Hogan was a good wrestler, but he had to dumb himself down just to be the WWF champion, and people now look at it like, oh, he only had 3 moves. It's like, no, those are just the 3 moves he needed.
Right.
So there's a big difference there. And, WWE just knows how to do this correctly. So now, after you had the introduction of Jade on all the shows, you had a good showing at the Rumble. Like, this is a process, right? I mean, like, maybe she still doesn't do much until WrestleMania. And then
Mm-hmm.
now we really got to see her. So they're just inching the audience along, putting her in top positions all the way through. So it'll be good. I'm interested to see if they do something with her now and what that looks like. Uh, she doesn't need a title match at WrestleMania. Maybe just her and Bianca finally locking up at WrestleMania could be a really cool moment that they can make. That doesn't need a belt. So I don't know. I mean, obviously it was really, really done really well. So
All right. Well, Bailey wins it after an hour and 3 minutes inside of the Rumble.
hmm,
Um, an hour is far too long for a women's
yeah,
battle royal. I mean, I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. You can send your hate mail to at Ricky Reyes01 on Twitter. But anywho, the next contest here, which was shocking to me, that they went right to the Roman Reigns match right
yeah,
after the Women's Rumble.
yeah,
That felt super out of place.
yes.
Um,
I did not expect that to be the next match. The first thing
yeah,
I thought was, isn't there anything else on this show they could put here? Like,
I immediately was like, did Logan Paul not show up?
yeah, I didn't even know that. I forgot that was a match. And then when it came on after, I was like, yeah, we could have flip flopped those two, but
Right.
whatever.
Roman Reigns, for all intents and purposes, uh, catches a win here, mostly clean, right in the middle. What'd you think of this match, Rick?
I didn't like it. Um, I thought it was choppy. Like it felt like it didn't catch any momentum. It's really, I mean, we've said it a million times. Like it's really hard to get a flow when you have a multi-man match. So I did not like it. I see why they put it on AJ because AJ's so good too. Like it's not going to dirty him up. So at least they protected LA Knight a little bit there
Yeah.
because we all knew that Orton wasn't taking the fall. So
Mhm.
I was afraid they were going to have LA Knight take a fall and really hurt him bad. But with AJ being the way he is and the way he works, like this won't hurt him at all. Hopefully they're revving him up for something big at WrestleMania. But I don't know. I'm just glad AJ's wearing tights again. That made me
Yep.
happy. Other than that, it was just a bad match. Boring match. Wasn't good.
I feel like this match was put together with the sole expressed reason of chopping it up for a highlight video.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Mm,
there was no discernible nuance
nah.
or flow or story to it. It was
Yeah.
just like finish here, finish there, finish here, finish there,
Yeah.
interference, Paul Heyman scared face. Like
Yeah. A lot of
it
sound
was,
bites. Yeah.
yeah, it was all produced for like Paul Heyman ECW TV
Yeah.
at 1 o'clock in the morning to be played over music. Like it just did not flow like it should have, which I feel like for these four guys was really weird. Like it was constructed, it had to be constructed this way on purpose by whoever put it together.
Yeah.
I just can't figure out what the reason would be.
It just, I mean, there's just sometimes, you know, the ingredients don't mix,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's one person or a couple, all you really need is that one to not kind of mix well with everything, and it kind of ruins the whole pot. So I'm not sure who that is in this scenario because they all kind of work a very basic style. Except AJ can do stuff, and then he did the stuff in the right spots, like at the very end. As a surprise in the middle, he got one where he did the forearm and tried to stack everybody. Like
Yeah.
that was a cool, like, oh wow, like I don't know. There was just little things like that. Like you said, it was more for that particular spot that this match was made. Stuff like that. I don't know. I did not like the match going into it, and then when it was done, I still didn't like it. So,
Yep. I guarantee you the video for it on Friday on
oh yeah,
SmackDown is going to
will
be
be
fire.
awesome. Yeah,
Fire.
yeah, totally. And then
With
you'll
the
watch it,
speed
and
playing and everything. Yeah.
yeah, and then you'll watch it and be like, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't like it. I know it's just to get Roman along the way. The next the next title defense he has until that is going to be that. So we can't get excited for it because whatever's going to happen is going to happen in Philadelphia. So
Yeah. The next offering was Logan Paul and Kevin Owens for the U.S. title. I wasn't a fan of the actual match itself,
yeah,
but I liked the finish.
I like the finish because it was different. Yeah, like it got him some heat.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I like that. Everybody's on Paul's nuts saying that he's great, but he doesn't. He's a heel. He doesn't really have to do anything. And then when he does do one or two things, they are spectacular. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a good worker wrestler,
Right.
So we'll see that in more time, I guess, because didn't he resign as more full time
I
wrestler?
have, I have no idea because like what are they signing this guy to, or is he like stupid and he's not really signing contracts? But he thinks every time he shows up and they're like, "Hey, we got 3 more dates." Does he think that's a contract?
Yeah, I don't
You
really
guys signed
know.
5 contracts in a year.
Yeah, it's weird because like we don't really know the truth, right? But he they're making it seem like he'll be around more now. So this is where we're gonna, once the honeymoon phase is over here, we're gonna find out what did we really buy. So
Right. All right, so let's get into it now. The men's rumble. Uh the men's rumble was won by the American Dream, Jesus Christ. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, in an hour, in 8 minutes and 25 seconds. The first two entrants were Jimmy and Jay.
yeah,
Rick and Scott,
yeah,
Axe and Smash.
yeah,
We know they love to do that, but that also just immediately makes the random lottery feel not so random right off the bat. Uh Fourth entrant, Andrade. What'd you think?
I was happy, man. I'm excited to see if what they do with him next, or where he goes, right? Because we know that there were debuts or comebacks or whatever, but we don't know what show they're on yet. So,
Right.
um, I mean, he fits in anywhere because he's a good wrestler. So I was excited. I'm glad he's back.
I am also. I don't want to see him immediately get caught up in something with the LWO
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
Legados del Fantasm Orgasm
hmm
Mo. Because that's just taking another guy of that ethnicity and just go, oh, here, just go play with the rest of the Mexicans. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
That's exactly what. Yeah,
You got a guy there that can stand out and be high up on the card for you. Not that those other, well, I mean, Santos Escobar, I don't see him being a real main event guy, but like you could be doing so much better with Carlito. Um, you could be doing different with Santos Escobar. So if
yeah,
they're not going to do different with Santos Escobar, I prefer they would do that with Andrade. Now, part of the problem I felt with this Rumble, right? You went Andrade, which was kind of a high spot or point, and he took his mask off, and a lot of people realized who it was, and he got a reaction.
right,
But after that, you got Carmelo Hayes, Nakamura, Escobar, Karrion Cross, who really just should go find literally anything else on the planet to do at this point. Dominic, Carlito, Lashley, Kaiser, Theory, Balor. Okay, so you go from number 4 to 15, where Cody Rhodes comes out before you get a reaction for another person,
right,
right?
right.
So these guys are out here. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys. Let's call it 12 or whatever, 12 minutes or so in front of 50,000 people who like look like they walked into a building to get out of the rain and they have no idea what they're there for.
hmm
Right? So like the crowd is flat, nothing's happening.
Yeah,
And then Cody comes out and that's all fun and that's good for a minute and a half, but then you got Bronson Reed, nobody gives a shit. You got Kofi Kingston, as you put it, in his underwear,
yeah,
right? Uh Gunther, who got a reaction, and Ivar, and then you get Braun Breaker.
yeah.
The Braun Breaker was a fun surprise.
Yes.
I was happy to see there. A lot of people on the internet are concluding that he was the Brock Lesnar replacement.
Oh,
But again, it was flat to that point, and then you get almost nobody. It took him a minute and a half to get to the ring. Nobody gave a shit about almost.
no.
And then you do a stupid thing with Pat McAfee.
Yeah,
So this Rumble
it was
is
bad.
dead. It's
Yeah.
just dead, right?
Oh yeah. The thing about having that four-way, right? You took all those guys out of the Rumble.
Yep.
There's three superstars that would have got massive reactions where each one of them could have been at the very end and you could have believed because that one of them was going to win it, especially AJ, and LA Knight. Like those would have, of the three, those would be the two that you would think, okay, it's their year,
You could have filled this thing number 20 to number 30
yeah,
with fucking stars.
the stars, right? It should have been that way. You're right. I guess that's what I mean by the flow of the Rumble, because with the girls, there's no real big mega star in the girls division, so they're all, I don't want to say filler, but
they're all equal.
They're all more equal as far as like star stature goes, status, because I was wide open for the girls for up till 30 when what's her name came out, and I was like, oh shit, she might win it. I was kind of at a point where I was like, this is interesting to me because I don't know who can win this,
Right. None of them stands above
right. And then like
maybe Becky Lynch.
Right. Yeah. But even then I kind of felt like we don't really need Becky in the main event again. So that's why I thought that one flowed a little bit better for me, as a fan, where I was more interested in what everybody was doing in there. Right. And then with the guys, I was just kind of waiting for Cody and Punk to see what was going to happen,
Right. Because creative wouldn't piss on 25 of these guys if they were on fire.
Right. Then you didn't have AJ, you didn't have LA Knight, you didn't have Orton. Again, you didn't have Kevin Owens, you didn't have Logan Paul. Usually back in the day, right? Like they could have a match and then still come out for the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we had like Ricochet. Well, what's Ricochet going to do in there except it's like a little playground for him, It's like, and I don't think he's going to win. So why did he kept flipping and doing things and like looking up into the crowd, begging for a reaction?
Right.
It was just stupid.
So after McAfee, just more bad. You get JD McDonough.
Yeah.
You get R-Truth. I liked that R-Truth came out at the Women's Rumble and then realized that none of them were women and then left. And then I liked that when he got to the Men's Rumble, he got up in the corner
for the tag,
waiting for a hot tag.
Yeah.
And they actually did a hot tag. And Cole's like, that. This isn't how any of this works. But then you had, Miz, Damian Priest, finally CM Punk. Here comes a star at 27. Right. So you go from 15 to 20 between Cody and Braun Breaker, and then you go 20 to 27 before you get a star. Okay? And then they give you Ricochet at 28. They should change his name to Cannon Fodder. You get Drew McIntyre at 29, right, which now led me to believe, I even texted you.
Yeah.
Well, if McIntyre's 29, we're going to get a return or some type of big star here at 30.
Right.
And then we get Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn has got enough goodwill with the quote-unquote WWE universe that they didn't boo him out of the building for being number 30.
For sure. That is right when you said that, that's when I did believe it was going to be The Rock. Because I was like, man, that makes total sense. Like, I now looking back, you're like, why didn't they flip-flop those two? You probably would have got McIntyre would have had more steam coming in. Now I'm thinking, is he going to win it? I would have went, could he could come in here just to ruin everything, put all the heat on him.
Right. And the psychology of like for the fan psychology, which is Drew comes out at 29.
Yeah.
We're all going, well, that's the last person we're anticipating.
Right.
So who's 30?
Right.
30's going to be something. Whereas if Sami Zayn would have came out 29, we all would have known that we were still waiting for Drew.
Right.
And then it would have started planting the seeds of what you were saying.
Right.
Like, oh, Drew's going to come out here and
just
ruin
fuck
this for
everything up.
everybody.
Yeah.
You know, to leave it in a position of somebody we had no idea who was left, and then to under-deliver. And that's not a knock at Sami Zayn, but to under-deliver.
No, but he has nothing going on. He's
Right.
of no importance right now. You know, Drew is hinting at possibly leaving, and he's pissed. It just made more sense to have Drew come in. I don't know. It wasn't a good, like I said, again, just wasn't a good flow of what we wanted to see. So,
and then, so anyway, we get down to the last, I think the final 4 guys were Drew, Cody, Punk, and Gunther.
Yeah.
Correct? That was it?
I think so, yeah.
You pointed out to me, and I think I found where it was. I think Punk hurt his arm on the Future Shock DDT.
That's what I thought, yeah.
I think it might have got caught under his ass when he went down for it. So Punk looked like he was hurt, but this is going to sound crazy, especially from the way I've been talking for like the last year. Punk did not look good in this Royal Rumble match.
No.
What do you talk me through it here? What do you think happened?
I don't know if maybe those two just don't work well together. Was there, a lack of cooperation by? That's what I feel it looked like. Was one guy wanted to do it this way, the other guy wanted to do it that way, and then it just didn't click well because they had so much dead time apart from each other that I feel like if there was a ref in there, he would have been like a rubber ball in between relaying messages.
Yeah.
No, motherfucker, this is where we're going. Nope, not having it tonight, brother. That doesn't work for me.
Yep.
I just felt like that's what it was. And because there was no ref, I feel like they were just kind of fighting to get to the end with each other. Now,
which is so stupid.
Right. I mean, but at this point you have to look at the two egos you have in there, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Cody wanted it a certain way because it's his moment. This is Punk trying to feed to the fans that he deserves it, and maybe he's trying to get more sympathy of like, it needs to be done for me. And Cody's thinking, no, it needs to be done for me. That's what I think. Maybe the fake injury thing was Punk's out in his mind of not doing certain things. That's because it felt like every time he got Cody on his shoulders, it looked like he really wasn't planning on doing anything. He just kind of did it because he was supposed to. It was hard. It was hard to watch, to be honest, because it was bad. It was bad.
No, I completely agree. I'm also like, let's be honest here. How old is Punk?
Like 45, 46.
Okay. Punk has spent the last 2 years, legit, the last 2 years, he's worked 3 months, 1 night a week for, so what has he had? 6, maybe 7 matches over the last 2 years?
Yeah.
If that,
yeah,
because his most entertaining stuff seems to happen backstage. And he's undefeated in the locker room.
Right.
But he looked blown up.
Really
When it
blown up.
got down to just him and Cody, he
Yeah.
looked fucking gassed to the gills.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, oh, maybe Punk just doesn't have it anymore, because I don't think that's the case. I think he's out of ring shape.
Yeah.
I think he was out there, and even though he was only number, 27 or whatever, he was out there moving around way bigger dudes than he's even looked at in an AEW locker room.
Yeah.
And you know how easy it is to blow up when you're just trying to move around somebody who doesn't want to move.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened there. I think there was an ego battle royal in the middle of a Royal Rumble,
Yeah.
and I think he was blowed sky high.
I agree. That's exactly what it looked because, especially when you're there, you're not supposed to have your head down. And
Mhm.
I don't know I couldn't count how many times he either had his head down like on the ropes, like with it, like leaning over. And that's just you just trying to get air in your lungs at that point. You're just dying. You don't care who's looking at you. Yeah, and so I don't know. It was weird. Uh so overall with this, I don't know. Does he win Elimination Chamber and then he gets to challenge Seth? I mean, is that where we're going?
If this is what they were going to do, you know what? I don't even know how to make sense out of this. What they could have done, if you wanted to, I feel like they could have gimmicked Seth's injury, right?
Yeah.
Put Seth's title on the line in this Rumble, let Punk win it, have Seth come back for Mania, and just do the angle flip flopped, right?
Yeah.
And that would have been at least something more, like it would have put stakes on this Rumble. So no matter how bad this
Yeah.
men's Rumble was,
Hmm.
it would have been good because it was for something, right? Because now they have to logically deliver to us now how they're getting Cody involved with Roman
Right.
post or pre this match with The Rock.
Right.
And if their answer here is to make a match with The Rock a three-way, then color me uninterested.
Oh man.
Because the what's gonna happen is you're gonna get Cody Rhodes out there with Roman Reigns and The Rock, and he's gonna get lost in the goddamn shuffle.
You know what? They've been doing the three-way thing every 10 years for the past couple decades too. And this is 40.
Oh God.
Remember in 30 it was
You
Brian
said Brian.
and then 20
Oh, God, Michaels. Well, it was Michaels,
Benoit,
Benoit, Triple
Triple
H.
H,
And 10 was the Yoko, Lex
Yoko,
Luger, Yoko,
Luger,
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart. We just solved the riddle. If they do a three-way with The Rock, bro, that's gonna be the worst match ever, bro. I mean, I'm sure Roman will take the fall because it'll mean what they need. It'll be what they need.
Yeah.
But just I don't know, dude. That's gonna be really bad.
Maybe that's the only way to get Rock to do the match, right? Because you don't have to pin him and he doesn't have to lose.
I mean, I guess, but bro, like he hasn't been full-time WWE in how many years? He just shouldn't have an ego of any kind.
You think he's on the board of directors? You think he's going to lay down in the middle of the ring?
That's true too. That doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah.
I need one of those.
That doesn't work for the board, brother.
Yeah, the board says no. Sorry, not tonight.
Finally, the
Yeah,
board has come back.
the board kicks it too, brother.
Yeah. Oh
Mm.
God, he looks up at Mr. Miyagi. The board does hit back. Oh shit. So what do you think about coming out of this Rumble? Where do you think we're going? Who do you think is going to be doing what on one night? Do we have a heel CM Punk here?
I don't know. He was kind of like all the shots that I saw from like fans kind of trying to get like a sneak peek on what's really going on. He was very baby faced, like, oh man, I'm just so hurt. He kept playing that up. So
Yeah.
obviously he wasn't pissed, but I mean it's curtain to curtain, right? So who knows what. Um, I don't know. I guess it all at this point I feel like it all depends on what really is Seth going through. Cause I think Punk wants that feel good moment at WrestleMania, and it'll be better if he's a face and wins the belt against a heel Seth. Uh, does Bayley? Here's my question: does Bayley automatically get the main event of the first night with
No.
this?
No.
Okay.
Because remember
Okay.
last year they had Jimmy and Jay versus
That's
Sammy and
right.
Kevin was
Okay.
the
Okay.
main event of night
That
one.
I could not remember what the first night main event was. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I mean, we still have the elimination chamber. They're going to tie all the loose ends up there, I would imagine.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I still think it's going to be Roman, Cody Sunday, Punk, Seth Saturday.
Roman Cody's house. What about the board, brother?
I don't know. I'm thinking Australia, but I don't know.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to watch some TV this week to find out.
Yeah, kind of figure that out.
All right, so we covered Okada, we covered creepy Vince McMahon, Raw to Netflix, Rock on the board of directors, and the Royal Rumble. You got anything else you want to talk about this week?
Nah, that's pretty much that. That was it.
This one was a slog, a real marathon.
Yeah, it was.
Hour and a half. It was a lot of work.
Tired.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm gonna go to bed. So
I'm blown up like Punk.
yeah. I didn't come all this way to lose to Dusty's kid.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Actually, but anyway, for Ricky Reyes, I'm Kevin Fulton. This has been Podfluxxx, episode number 41. And motherfuckers, we will catch y'all later. Where's the gimmick? Nailed it. Later, Rick.
Later.